Boubacar Kamara's contract situation does present a great opportunity for Manchester United. However, I do think he has some flaws in his game, which is why I will be suggesting two alternative Ligue 1 central midfielders who play for the same team who could be better options. So stick around till the end of the video for that. But before that, who actually is this young French Marseille player who has been linked with Manchester United quite frequently in the past few weeks? Well, Kamara is a 22-year-old converted centre-back who now plays in central midfield in Jorge Sampaoli's three-at-the-back system, being very much the holding midfielder of that central midfield. This definitely suits Kamara's style of play, but before I get into that, for cheap good quality football jerseys, retro jerseys and tracksuits, go over to www.jerseyfifa.com, a link will be left in the description below, and use code ATLANTISFOOTBALL to get 5% off. So the reason that I say Kamara does suit the holding midfield role very well is that he's very composed in the tackle. Unlike centre-backs like Eric Bailly or David Luiz, who are very rash when they approach a player to make a tackle, Kamara is very composed, moving to a player cautiously, getting his body positioning right in case a player looks to bypass him, and he often is able to get in a good standing tackle, winning the ball back for his team. The reason he's so good at this is he's very front foot, knowing when to push out and approach a player and when to hold his position. And when he does push out to approach a player, he has the aggression to win the ball back more times than not. He's also a very good slide tackler as well, which enables him to shuttle across when the opposition are looking to counter quickly, using his athleticism to track down a player, and any slide tackling ability to put in a well-timed tackle to break up the attack. This tackling ability can be seen as this season he's completed 1.9 tackles per 90, only being dribbled past 0.7 times per 90, giving him a 70% tackle success rate, which is very good for a central midfielder. Now, I did do a video on Amadou Haidara, who's at RB Leipzig, and even though Manchester United seem to be interested in both him and Kamara for that central midfield spot, they are very different players. If you did watch that Haidara video, or the video where I suggest alternatives to sign instead of Haidara, you would have seen that I said that Haidara is very much a box-to-box midfielder. He's not a ball winner like Ndidi or Kante, who's going to sit behind the play and have the sole job of breaking up the opposition's attacks. He's going to be a player to progress the ball forward in the centre of the pitch and get into the final third, looking to create and score chances. Kamara doesn't have the same box-to-box ability that we do see from Haidara. He's very much more of a sitter, very much in the mode of someone like Fabinho. And so if Kamara was brought into the Manchester United midfield, they maybe would lack this energy going forward. However, if you could partner him alongside more of a box-to-box player like Haidara, I do think it could work well. He doesn't have that same ability as someone like Pogba or Haidara to carry the ball through the centre of the pitch and progress the ball forward. However, this doesn't mean that he's a liability in possession, as he's a very good long passer, able to pick up the ball deep in midfield and spray these driven passes out wide or play lofted passes in behind the back line. This is something that United currently lack with McTominay and Fred, who don't have this passing range, either playing incisive passes between the lines or the long passes that we do see from Kamara. This means that putting Kamara into United's midfield is instantly going to improve United's ability to move the attack forward quickly, able to receive the ball in a deep position in their own half after a turnover, and rather looking for a short pass like Fred or McTominay would, Kamara has the ability to see and then play a very long driven pass, which could work well, especially with players like Marcus Rashford in the side, making those penetrating runs in behind the opposition's back line. And this is part of the reason why I do think that Kamara could actually be a better centre-back than he is a central midfielder. But before I fully break that down, just a reminder, I do have a Patreon, so if you do want exclusive content, which will be 2 extra videos exclusive to Patreon per week, one of which will be a Manchester United video, the other will be on a topic voted for by Patreons. Then by clicking the link in the description below and going to Patreon, you can sign up for £5 a month. It will help support the channel, but even just watching this video and watching my other videos will be much appreciated as well. So before I talk about Kamara's potential conversion back to being a centre-back, let's look at his FBref report over the past 365 days compared to every other midfielder in Europe's top 5 leagues. So unlike someone like Aurelien Tchouameni, who I've talked about in many videos previous to this, who ranks in the high 90s for both tackles and interceptions, Kamara isn't displaying this sort of ball-winning output. He still ranks high for tackles completed, sitting in the 82nd percentile, but for pressures he ranks in the 30th percentile, and for interceptions he's down in the 39th percentile. Now, stats and metrics aren't the be all and end all, as I do think Kamara is a very good defensive midfielder. He's a very good tackler, and I think he performs the role of an anchorman or a holding midfielder very well. However, the statistical disparity between him and someone like Tchouameni does suggest that Tchouameni is the better player, and I do agree with this. I think Tchouameni is a level above Kamara. That isn't to say that Kamara can't improve, but it's just to say that if Manchester United are going to choose between Tchouaméni or Kamara, then I would go for Tchouaméni. I do think that Kamara could play alongside a more box-to-box central midfielder if he was brought into Rangnick's 4-2-2 system, but that would mean that United do need to bring in 2 central midfielders, and I do think that they should prioritise maybe someone more along the lines of Haidara, a box-to-box player who would be an improvement on McTominay and Fred, in possession as well as out of it, could be a better option for this January transfer window. However, Kamara's contract at Marseille does expire at the end of the season, so this does represent a very good opportunity for Manchester United, and they could likely bring him in January for between £5 and £10 million, or on a free at the end of the season. Also, I don't think he would command very high wages either, so bringing him in January and then looking for another central midfielder as well could be a good idea. As with Matic and McTominay really being United's only options in that holding midfield position, I do think that Kamara would be a substantial improvement. However, I do think that Manchester United need to prioritise more of a box-to-box central midfielder in January to aid them both in and out of possession. And you can definitely see from his FB Ref report that while Kamara does rank decently for his in-possession metrics, ranking in the 60th percentiles for progressive passes and progressive carries, as well as the 55th percentile for dribbles completed, he's not at that top level that United would need. Now, I am going to suggest 2 players that I do think would be better options for United to target in central midfield, but could Kamara be brought in as a central defender? Now, the reason why I say this is that he is a very good defender. He's a very good tackler, as I've said, and he's very good in one-on-one situations because of his composure, his concentration, and his ability to not jump in and get his body positioning right before putting in a well-timed sliding or standing tackle. I also think he's a central defender that can play in a high defensive line, which is going to be needed with Ralf Rangnick's counter-pressing system, with the back line pushing up high to keep United's pressing shape vertically compact. But the main reason why I would be excited to see Kamara back at centre-back is because of his passing range. In a modern game now, centre-backs are on the ball a lot, and with opposition sides being quick to press your central midfielders, even in deep positions, the centre-backs are becoming more important for ball progression. That means if you have a player like Kamara who can get on the ball and switch play and move the ball into the final third with those long driven passes, as we see players like Ruben Diaz, Laporte, Ben White and Antonio Rudiger do, then this can completely change the dimensions of your attack. And because he's only 22, his overall defensive ability in terms of his positioning, his tackling and his physicality is dramatically going to improve over the next few seasons. So I do think we could see Kamara become a top level centre back by the time he's 24 or 25. And this is why I do say that Kamara represents a great opportunity for Manchester United, not necessarily in the central midfield spot, but United could theoretically bring him in for between £5 and £10 million or on a free in the summer, and this would allow them to offload maybe someone like Tuanzebe, Bailly or Lindelof, and have Kamara as a third choice centre back behind Varane and Maguire or Lindelof, whoever Rangnick and whoever the next manager choose to keep at centre back. And Kamara's versatility, able to play at right back and in central midfield, is really going to help United as well. But if United were to bring in Kamara as a centre-back, who should they be targeting in central midfield in January? So obviously I have spoken about Amadou Haidara in previous videos, which will be linked in the description below for you to check out after. And if you watch my Haidara alternative video as well, you'll see 2 options that would be my dream options in central midfield. However, to be honest, they are more summer targets and January targets. So these 2 players are players that I think would be available in January and United could snap up. The first player is Lyon's Bruno Guimaraes, who I do think United could get for around £40 million. Just by looking at his FB Ref report alone, you can see how good he is, ranking in the 96th percentile for both progressive carries and progressive passes, whilst also sitting in the 92nd percentile for shot creating actions, the 84th for expected assists, and ranking in the 88th percentile for pressures and the 96th for tackles completed, whilst also sitting in the 49th for interceptions, showing that Guimaraes is pretty much an all-round central midfielder and the exact type of box-to-box player that United would need in central midfield. The other option who United could get in January is also a Lyon player, but he would cost a bit less than Guimaraes because he only has a year and a half left on his current contract. That player is Maxence Kakare, who is just 21 years old, and he, like Bruno Guimaraes, looks absolutely phenomenal from his FB Ref report, ranking in the 97th percentile for pressures, the 96th for tackles completed, and the 74th for interceptions, whilst also ranking in the 90th percentile for dribbles completed, the 91st for progressive passes, the 59th for progressive carries, and and the 82nd for shot creating actions. So he's ranking extremely highly for pretty much all the metrics you would look for in a deep lying central midfielder. Out of the two, I would prefer Bruno Guimaraes, as I do think he's better going forward, being more of a threat around the box, and I do think that's what Rangnick's side does need, playing in that 4-2-2 system, with both players in central midfield needing to be good progressors of the ball, allowing United to transition the attack quickly when the ball is won back, which is a key fundamental of the counter-pressing system. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, remember to subscribe to the channel and click the bell for notifications. Go to the description and click the link for my Patreon if you do want to sign up for £5 a month and get that exclusive content and help support the channel as well. Also in the description will be some other videos that I think you may like, and on the end screen as well there will be videos as well, and put your thoughts in the comments section below.